They speak of truth, reason and science, but if you look closer and if you pull the mask off their faces, are the new leftists in reality religious fanatics? Hello friends of Germany, my name is Hagen Grell, coming to you on the German Ambassador channel, and I'd like to talk to you about the new leftist religion. The leftist religion is a topic which I was pondering about the last weeks and which I have spoken about on my German channel for a while, but I've come to a point where I think I can share some of the thoughts in the international community, and maybe you have some good ideas how to handle this and to progress from here on. Leftist religion, I think in the American community, you have some words for it. Mark Dice calls it liberalism, or progressivism is a word that, for example, Steven Crowder uses. And it is basically, in my opinion, a religion. But let's check it for ourselves. Religion versus science. I think these are the two basic opposites which we can compare and which we can measure the current leftist ideology with. What is science? What is religion? Science basically is a principle, and religion, I'd say, is a principle too. If you look at science, then you have a theory, and a theory about the world, which has to be always true. You can say, for example, the trees are green, the trees are always green, and this is your theory. But then you see a brown tree, and this is the second very important principle of science, or the most important, I'd say, is if you see evidence that your theory is not true, then you have to change your theory. This is the basic principle. So if I see brown trees, then I can't say all trees are green all the time, but you can say most trees are green most of the time. That would be the principle. You have to change your theory, and then if there's some evidence that you have to change that again, and you have to say, okay, most trees are green half of the time, for example, then be it so. You have to change your theory according to the evidence which presents itself to you. This is the science, the scientific principle. The most basic scientific principle which help people progress from religious superstition to a real scientific society, inventions, and so on and so forth. What is religion? Religion is basically the other way around. Religion is when you have a steadfast belief in something, and this can't be changed by evidence. So, for example, if I'd say the same example, all trees are green all the time, and I see a brown tree, then I would be inclined to say, okay, this isn't a tree because it's brown, because I know every tree is green all of the time, so this isn't a tree. Or I would try to argue, okay, this brown color basically is green, so my dogma that all trees are green all the time is still true. Yes, and if I see a red tree, especially in the autumn, in the fall, then I'd say, okay, this is basically green too, or this isn't a tree, or I'd try something else, or maybe this tree is cursed by the devil. So it's not true that all trees, or it's still true that all trees are green at the same time, but I have some explanation that this is somehow not following the rule. Okay, so there's the two principles, and now we can compare what leftists believe today. For example, let's look at feminism, which is, I'd say, you can take all of these separate movements, so to speak, and combine them to one religion, because basically they support each other. If one is a feminist, then it's very likely that they also believe in multiculturalism, because it's a great religion which combines all of these beliefs or sub-beliefs. So they are basically not movements, they're just one great religion. Okay, a feminist believes, for example, a man and a woman are no different in any shape or form. Okay, They're not different. So if you see the achievements of women in the 100-meter sports and of men in the 100-meter sprint, then it's basically different, but very different. A woman wouldn't even make it to the finals. The best woman wouldn't even make it to the finals in a national championship, for example, with the men. So where's this difference coming from? A scientist would say, okay, my theory was that women and men are the same, but the evidence shows differently, shows very many differences, so yeah, I have to throw out my theory. Maybe men and women are different, after all, in the medium. But a religious person would say, no, men and women are the same, and this is, I have to come up with some reason, this is patriarchy. Okay, patriarchy is a go-to thing, which is basically like, I'd say, like a god, like a sub-god, for example. One could say, okay, we have monotheistic religions where the follow-up to polytheistic religions, but basically, if you have angels and all the mythical creatures within, then basically it's not monotheistic, it's polytheistic still, but with some super god, for example. Okay, so patriarchy is some god form in a polytheistic religion. It's basically a polytheistic religion. Or a semi-polytheistic. Doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Okay, patriarchy is like a god figure there. And you have to, one thing which I realized is that the religion is a negative religion. So we have in Germany, okay, this is a funny example. We have in Germany a YouTuber who is called the Dragon Lord, and he's basically treated like a holy person by his fans, but he's ridiculed. So basically, the content of the religion is to ridicule the holy person. So there's some place on the holy person which you can have and do, and basically in the leftist religion, the holy people are all negative ones. They're all doom people. So we have these negative gods. One of them is patriarchy. Okay, we have had feminism. Let's look at multiculturalism. Is multiculturalism good? You'd have to look at the data and see if cultures that live together, which are different, that they support each other, that they make each other stronger, and you can find out in the statistics. Do the statistics say that this works? No, they don't. But what does the scientist? What does the scientist say? Oh, okay, the statistics say multiculturalism doesn't work. So my theory that multiculturalism is working and is great is false. Multiculturalism doesn't work. What does the religious fanatics say? Multiculturalism is working, of course, because this is my belief. And what is the reason? The reason is racism. That this particular instance, it doesn't work. It's racism. And racism is the next god of chaos in this religion. They're basically gods. They're god figures. So we have racism and we have patriarchy. What else do we have? Homophobia. Oh yeah, what is that the god for? I don't know. The genders, for example. Yeah, the genders might be transphobia. I don't know. For example, if you'd say, okay, transgender is something great, then you'd have to look at the cases where people have changed their gender, for example, by operation, and if they were happy afterwards, and they were contributing people to society. And if it doesn't, then you'd have to say, okay, transgenderism doesn't work the way we treat it, for example. Scientists would say that. But a religious person would say, transphobia. And this is the next god figure. I think you figured out how this game is played. Basically, if you look at the evidence and if your train of thought follows the evidence, then you're a scientist. And if you look at your beliefs and all evidence has to fit your beliefs, then you're a religious person. Okay. And I'd argue that this progressivism or liberalism but I think progressivism is a better name for it, because it's so vague and so not really concrete, not really exact, so to speak. That progressivism is a good term for it, but maybe we can come up with a better word for it that shows its religious nature more. Let me know in the comments if you have some ideas. Okay, what can we do? I think the first thing is to realize that religion won't go away. I think there's a spiritual side, of course, in all of us, but this doesn't have to do with religion. But so many people have been superstitious in the past, and they are now. And I think it has to do maybe with intelligence, maybe with some other factors, emotionality. The more emotional you are, the more you're feeling, basically, and the more you're prone to following your feelings rather than following evidence, for example. This is especially true with many women, for example, but with men today too. Soy boys, for example, which is a new term, which is very funny to mock those people drinking soy all day, soy drinks, and having lower and lower testosterone levels. These are very emotional too. Okay. And they're more prone to superstition that way. So I think religion won't go away, but religion can be a good thing too. Because I think religion is just keeping some or manifesting some of the thoughts you have, and putting them into a kind of supernatural, kind of fixed thought system. And some people need that. Other people don't, but some people do need that. So my suggestion would be that we should think about creating our own religion. A new religion which is not based on some loony warlord from the 7th century, and maybe even not be based on on Jesus Christ, for example, because the Catholic Church has changed these teachings over the years so much that, yeah, it might be a whole different religion after all. So, but you could also argue, many people, of course, being Christian and traditional, have some very good values. So you could argue that if you take your Christian faith and develop it in your own way, and interpret in your own way, and find the truths in your own way, then you could have your own Christian sub-church, so to speak, or sub-religion. So this might be working too. But what I want to say is, we should keep, if we found a new religion or reinvent old religion, so to speak, we have to take the good things which come out of philosophy, real philosophy, and which are natural things. So, for example, if you say you have to be working very hard to achieve something, then this is something which is very evident in nature. So someone who is lazy won't achieve anything, or very little. But someone who is very, very active can achieve a lot. So these are different approaches, and this is one truth. So that if you're very active, you can achieve very many things. Or, for example, if you're loyal, then you attract loyal people, and you have a loyal following, for example, and you create loyalty in your surrounding, and you have a stronger sense of community, for example. This is also true, and there are many things, of course, in all religions, truths which are held there. But if you, for example, follow the Quran, then you have very, very bad thoughts in there too, which don't hold if they are measured in the real world. Okay, so if you have a new religion, or if you're reinventing a religion, it should take real philosophy and base it on real philosophy. And where there is no philosophy, for example, about the supernatural, of course you can invent stuff, but stuff which is which is connected to your philosophy and which works and which empowers people rather than make them to brutal killers, for example. This would be a very good idea. So these are my thoughts on the topic. What do you think? Do you think first that the leftist religion, that this is a religion, the leftist ideology has become a religion, or are there some pieces of evidence and science left in there, or is it just a religion? How should we name the religion if it is one? And might it be a good idea to found a new religion, or should we reinvent one to include the new scientific truths that we found throughout the years and the new knowledge that we found over the years? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to hear and read what you think about it. And till next time, Hagen Grell signing out.